Everyone wants to solo queue to masters, but it's easier said than done. And as someone that's done it a few times, I want to drop these gems of knowledge so you guys can actually gain RP and have a much easier time getting to masters while solo queuing on Kings Canyon. Let's go. First thing I want to say quickly is solo queuing is rough and does take a long time. So no amount of tips is going to stop your randoms from throwing or being toxic. So just remember to take care of your mental health throughout this journey and focus on what you can do. So let's begin with tip number 1. First up is going to be choosing the right legend. You can start off a game really strong before even stepping foot on the map by choosing one of the best solo queue legends. The best solo queue legends for Kings Canyon are going to be the movement legends. I think Octane is going to be the best solo queue legend for Kings Canyon because of his jump pad is very fast, gives you a lot of movement, more than the Ash Portal, which is kind of a straight line, and usually on Kings Canyon you're just a hop away from a building or a cover, or at least not being in the enemy's immediate sightline, which is really the goal. While his stim and ability to flank, output damage, and get away safely gives you a lot while solo queuing and being able to carry fights, carry the offense on your team with randoms that you can't really trust, right? And if you aren't a fan of his, Ash or Wraith are still two wonderful solo queue options in the same style of Octane, or if you're really good with Pathfinder's Grapple, you can never go wrong with him. The other different pick for solo queuing is going to be Caustic. I actually solo queued the Masters last time we were on KC, and it was with him. And how did I solo queue with him? I did it by predicting every zone at a very high level, convincing my team I knew where zone would end as best as I could, and trap up every building and area that we were holding. We played slow and just banked on getting to the end game and winning with my gas in the final zones and getting our KP there. It's a completely different style than playing with movement legends, but it's another option, and while Caustic has changed a bit, his gas is still very strong. One of the most important things I can tell you guys is on Kings Canyon as a solo queuer, on a map with a lot of POIs like Kings Canyon has, which are around 20, make sure your team lands alone so you can at least give your randoms a chance to get looted, have some type of loadout they're comfortable with, and please, if you are blessed with being the jump master, do not pass up selecting where to drop. I would much rather you play it safe off of drop and be able to trust yourself than trust your randoms to not drop you next to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the whole lobby. KC doesn't have the best density of high tier loot, but there are so many places to land at that you can at least afford a window of hope in the early game by landing alone. Bad drops usually means losing max RP, and as a solo queuer, you have to minimize those games as much as possible. And if you're enjoying these tips so far, an easy and free way to support the channel is to hit that like button so this video can spread to more Apex Legends players. Thank you. The next thing I want to talk about is a bit independent of the legend you pick. While solo queuing, you have a certain role, you have to communicate at a certain level, and you have to have a certain playstyle that's very different from when you have a trio. And let's discuss, what do I mean by this? You have to communicate no matter what. You have to try and be the leader on your squad every match and be as confident as can be. You know, it can suck and no one might respond on your team, but when solo queuing, a lot of randoms just really want someone to take charge, and more times than not, if you take the lead, they're gonna follow you. But if they don't, all you can do is share what information you can and be the best teammate you can be, but always be aware and smart in case they do decide to do something dumb, which happens a lot. You cannot depend on your teammates. That's a big mistake that a lot of players do while solo queuing, and it causes them to obviously lose a lot of fights. You have to carry the fights, and you have to be good enough to be able to carry the fights and do that damage. You can never depend on your teammates while solo queuing. It'll just cause a lot of issues. Though you will have to balance your aggressiveness of having to do this entry damage, because if you push out too far from your team's not going to have that team fighting chemistry to be in sync and, you know, have the correct timing. So you have to just play at their speed and be cautious, but never scared. And you don't ever want to die because of their poor decision making. And speaking of their poor decision making, let's address ratting. I'm here to tell you guys that ratting is okay. Look, you're going to get hate for it. It's happened to me, and it's happened to a lot of you, I know. But I'm never going to throw my RP just because someone is cussing me out because I didn't push into two teams, and now they want me to fight a 2v1 when they didn't use their mic to communicate anything until they died. Also, if you're one of those people that doesn't use their mic until you're knocked or dead, just stop it, dude. If you aren't going to give useful information, don't ruin someone else's day by putting them down because you're lazy. Try and always uplift the person and be positive and give actually helpful information. But ratting is okay and essential to solo queuing and actually being able to climb, because you will have randoms that throw. And again, like I mentioned earlier, losing max RP off of drop hurts a lot being able to have those points, at least take 10 off of it, is just going to allow you to be a little bit more consistent and also not lose a ton when you finally do have that one big game. The goal while solo queuing is you want to, last until you get that big game. And then when you do get that big game, you want to make sure that the next and following games, you lose as little as possible, because the reality is when playing with randoms, it's going to vary. So you have to be able to have some sort of consistency. So ratting is a key strategy that solo queuers sadly have to do, because it's just the nature of Apex and ranked. And since I covered ratting, I had another cool thing I wanted to talk to you guys about. Something that you guys have been asking for a while, but I thought I would get someone much more qualified to cover this topic. But I don't know, he just really never got back to me, and I've been just waiting for his response. But this is him. What a convenient thing. This is him. All right, let me pick up. Hold on. Yo, what's up, dude? You in? You gonna do it? Really? Bet. All right. Give me a second. Let me give you a proper introduction, and then I'll throw my viewers your way. Now, ladies and gentlemen, here's the Apex Legends content creator himself, Ross Bob Squirrel, to give you guys the most 3 clutch rat spots on Kings Canyon. Educate the kids, bro.
Hey everyone, Ross Bob Squirrel here, and I'm going to be going over 3 of my top rat spots on Kings Canyon. The first one is going to be over here outside of Market and Salvage. Any legend can get in this spot. You just have to climb up these rocks and fall into this crevice where you are very well hidden. Next up is by all these no-name spots on the map, sort of between containment and the cage. You can climb up onto these tree limbs and be completely out of sight of enemies up here. Finally, there is this spot by the cage that any mobility legend can get to, such as Pathfinder, Octane, Valkyrie, or Horizon. You are behind the wood slabs, and no one is going to find you in this spot.
Thank you, Ross Bob Squirrel, for dropping that wonderful knowledge. So rat if you need to, and now you know some clutch places to go. And if you want to see more of those clutch spots, or funny glitches, or a lot of other Apex content, go subscribe to him and show him some love. His link is going to be in the description. And finally, what is the best solo queue playstyle for in Kings Canyon? Well, Kings Canyon is the smallest map and the easiest map to get third-partied on. So if your fight takes more than 10 seconds, best believe there's going to be a few teams coming for you. So when solo queuing on Kings Canyon, put all your effort into predicting zones and positioning. You need to know this map. I know this is easier said than done when playing with randoms, but unless off of drop you know your POI has maybe only one other team, and you guys are isolated enough, that would be maybe the only exception for taking a fight off of drop or a really early fight. Because even early, it's still very easy to get pulled up on. So focus on positioning in zone and only fight if you really have to. But when you have to fight, you have to flip that chip and be aggressive and confident, because fights have to be very fast. Any fight that drags on too long will get thirded, so end the fight as quick as possible. Loot quickly and get out of there before that next team pulls up. But your takeaway is you should really focus on all your KP coming very late, and that just will give you some stability and consistency on a highly chaotic map, which also, you're solo queuing, so that's also a little bit of added chaos. And with placement being valued so high, there is no reason to be, taking a ton of fights. Focus on your placement, get your kills late, and not risk a third party, because positioning and timing of when to take fights is way more important this split on Kings Canyon. And if you want to get into the mind and learn all the little and amazing things that make Apex Predators so special, then watch this video right here.